Welcome back, everyone. Next up, we have Appia Rare Earths and Uranium Corp. It trades on the OTCQX under APAAF and on the CSE under API. It's in the rare earth element and uranium sectors and is currently focusing on delineating high-grade critical rare earth elements and gallium on the Alces Lake property, as well as exploring for high-grade uranium in the prolific Athabasca Basin on its Otherside, Loranger, North Wollaston, and Eastside properties. Please welcome its acting president and CEO, Tom Drivas. Welcome, Tom. How you doing today?
Great, Anna.
We look forward to your presentation. So take it away and call me back when you're ready for questions.
Thank you. Appia Energy is a critical material company exploring for high-grade critical rare earth elements and uranium in Canada. I'm going to be making forward-looking statements towards this presentation. Why Appia? Appia's Alces Lake project is the highest grade critical rare earth and gallium prospect in North America, and one of the highest grade rare earth prospect in the world. Metallurgical testing confirms processing potential similar to other producing rare earth mines. Appia is debt-free, and its goal is to become a major producer of critical materials. Appia has a sizable Ni 4301 uranium and rare earth resource in Alces Lake, Ontario. Appia holds also 4 uranium exploration properties in and around the Athabasca Basin in Saskatchewan. All Appia's projects located are in stable and mining-friendly jurisdictions within Canada and are owned 100% by Appia. Historical prices for critical rare earths have increased by 100 to 300% since 2017, and uranium prices have at least doubled in the past 2 years. Rare earths and uranium demand and prices are forecast to increase drastically during the next few years. Alces Lake is a property Appia has. It's a large property in Ontario. Alces Lake area has produced over 300 million pounds of uranium and also has produced rare earths, commercially produced rare earths, and this was the only place in Canada that produced rare earths before now. So Appia has an Ni 4301 resource on the Alces Lake property in 2 categories, in indicated and inferred. In terms of uranium, between inferred and indicated, we've got 55 million pounds of uranium. And in terms of inferred, we do have, again, in indicated and inferred category, about 133 million pounds of rare earths. And in the indicated also and inferred category, we had another 47 million pounds of rare earths. So the basically total, we're looking at about 55 million pounds of uranium and about 180 million pounds of rare earth in inferred and indicated category, and it's 4301 compliant. Appia have used this property as a call on uranium and rare earth prices. Now, rare earths. Critical rare earths includes neodymium, praseodymium, europium, terbium, dysprosium, and yttrium. Primary demand growth is accelerating for permanent magnets used in electric vehicles. About 90% of the permanent magnet production is coming from China. Critical materials emergency it was declared by U.S. in 2020, and U.S. and the Western world governments are looking to rebuilt their own domestic supply chain of critical materials, including rare earths, and they have introduced legislation and also are supporting and looking to support companies like Appia and other companies in the sectors to develop their own resources. Market for magnet rare earth oxides expected to increase fivefold by 2030. Global critical rare earth shortages currently forecast as because supply only meets current demand. Now, rare earths are used in magnets, permanent magnets that are used for motors for electric vehicles. They're used for wind turbines, ceramics. They're catalysts and chemical in processes, and they're basically also military applications and very many different applications. You can see the slide here on neodymium oxide pricing. Since 2017, the price for neodymium oxide has gone up. Now, Appia also has four uranium properties, exploration properties around the Athabasca Basin, namely the Loranger, North Wollaston, and Otherside, and the Eastside property, as well as the Alces Lake property, which is to the north, just north of the Athabasca Basin, and it is located about 30 kilometers northeast of Uranium City. Now, the Alces Lake property is it's a large property. It's about 88,000 acres. So we only have begin to scratch the surface of this property in terms of exploration. On this map, you'll see three areas that where we have done some drilling and some exploration, and you can also see there are numerous zones on surface of rare earth high-grade zones. So this area is the area that we've been working mostly, the WRCB zone, the Magnet Ridge zone, and then this is the Western Anomaly and the Old Man down here. Now, why we're so excited about Alces Lake? Because Alces Lake exhibits and meets all the criteria for a viable rare earth project. All the rare earths in Alces Lake are contained within monozyte, and monozyte is exposed on surface. Now, the main criteria for a successful and viable rare earth project is grade, for example. And at Alces Lake, we see up to 49 weight percent total rare earth oxides right on surface or near surface. Mineralogy is very important because if the rare earths are contained in 3 or 4 different host rocks, the process to extract is very difficult and very expensive. So at Alces Lake, 100% of the rare earths are contained in coarse grain monozyte. Composition is also important. All the rare earths are not priced equally. The critical rare earths, which is neodymium, praseodymium, dysprosium, terbium, have higher prices than others, than the other rare earths. And the critical rare earths at Alces Lake is about 23 to 25% of the total rare earth oxide. So the Alces Lake has a very good mix of critical rare earth oxide. The location is also important. So the Saskatchewan is one of the most attractive jurisdictions in Canada and the world for mining investments. Environmental management and radiation is very important. This is well understood in Saskatchewan. Also, we're excited because future processing facility is actually under construction by the Saskatchewan Research Council in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and because our project is in the same jurisdictions, the same province, that certainly a lot of advantages. Now, here are some pictures of the monozyte right on surface at Alces Lake. At the Ivan zone, we've got monozyte up to 85% right on surface that contains about 53 weight percent total rare earth oxide over 1.2 meter, 2.3 meters exposure. On the Dila zone, we get over 57% monozyte with an average of 34, 35% weight percent total rare earth oxide for this body. Now, this is very unusual. This is highly unusual. Geologists have not seen this type of concentration anywhere in the world, and even labs, assay labs, have not seen this type of concentration of monozyte on properties on surface. Now, when it comes to drilling, in the last few years we did some drilling, and here's one of our drill holes. It actually returned 16% weight percent total rare earth oxide over 15.5 meters, starting at 8.7 meters down a hole depth. And also this section, this core included a 3.7 meters of 49.17 weight percent total rare earth oxide. So this is exceptionally high grade, and it's not seen in very many properties or anywhere else, basically. Now, as I mentioned, at Alces Lake, we're working on the WRCB zone, and this is a 3D view of the zone. On the top, we have a high-grade zone, and underneath that, the last couple of years, we discovered another zone that's the AMP zone. With this drilling that we did this year, we were able to expand both zones, and also we did discover another zone here. This new zone is basically it's 1,500 meters on strike, and we intersected that on drilling, and this is the magnet-rich zone basically. Here's a cross section of some of our drill holes of the WRCB zone, and here's a picture of the processing facilities. This is the pilot plant, but SRC has got quite a bit of money from the government, from the Saskatchewan government, and they're building the first of its kind processing facility in Canada, in Saskatoon. So we actually we're quite excited about that, and we see they will be processing monozyte, and SRC has quite employees with quite extensive experience, over 3 years experience in the field. Now, rare earths are found exclusively in monozyte at Alces Lake. 100% owned Alces Lake property, 88,000 acres, holds high-grade, low-grade critical rare earth basically over this property on this small portion that we've looked at it so far. Alces Lake has the potential to be one of the best monozyte-hosted rare earth occurrences in the world, with high-grade rare earth surface mineralization, including intermittently over 27 square kilometers. High-grade total rare earth oxides with up to 49% total rare earth oxide grade side. The average grade on the high-grade zone was around 16.65 weight percent total rare earth oxide, and within that there's 3.85 weight percent critical rare earths on surface or near surface at the WRCB zone. The 2021 drilling expanded the zone and discovered the AMP zone underneath that, and 2022 drilling extended the AMP zone and also discovered the magnet-rich zone, 15 meters, 100 meters to the southeast. The Alces Lake Monozyte contains high-grade gallium in addition to the rare earths. Why Monozyte is so important? Monozyte is one of the highest value rare earth-bearing minerals in the world. Monozyte is comprised of 50 to 60% of total rare earth oxide. Approximately 23 to 25% of the monozyte, Alces Lake at least, are critical rare earths, NdPr. And NdPr, neodymium, praseodymium, terbium, dysprosium are extremely desirable for use in permanent magnets, which are used in electric vehicle motors. Extraction of rare earths from monozyte has been successfully and economically proven and established since the 1950s. Monozyte is typically not concentrated, but at Alces Lake, I show you pictures where there's meters thick right on surface, up to 85% monozyte, and also occurs at isolated grains of 1 to 3 centimeters thick, and is isolated in isolated clusters. And the other point that is very important with monozyte is because it contains about 50% more critical rare earths than when you compare it to bastnaesite. Now, project update. At Alces Lake, we've done this year, in about 4 months, we did about 17,500 meters of drilling. We did raise $15 million in 2021, so our program for 2022 is fully funded. As I mentioned before, we did discover the new zone, the magnet-rich zone, which is 1,500 meters southeast of the WRCB. The magnet-rich zone is approximately 300 meters long in terms of strike. It's about up to 15 meters wide, and we have intersected the mineralization down to 100 meters. So we're basically also planning to do a 943 report, and most likely the WRCB and the magnet rich will be included in this report. Now, the drilling we've done, as I mentioned, it's doubled the amount of drilling that we did last year, and the results are pending. Assay results are pending. We're also able to complete 2 airborne surveys at Loranger and North Wollaston, and we're also planning a new survey to cover the entire Alces Lake property and airborne radiometrics and mag survey. So we started that one. Now, Alces Lake summary, again, why is important is world-class, total critical rare earth grades plus rare earths plus gallium. It's enriched in NdPr in critical materials. It's coarse-grained monozyte, easier to process, simple mineralogy near surface within 100 meters. Metallurgical testing confirms processing potential similar to other producing mines. Access to rare earth processing facility in Saskatoon. Multiple zones of rare earth discoveries along geological strikes or subparallel trends, and with subparallel zones open in all directions. Extensive high-grade monozyte mineralization found intermittently over 27 square kilometers so far. Now, end users and manufacturers in U.S., Japan, Germany, and are seeking long-term supply chains outside of China. As I mentioned before, the 2022 drilling program and exploration is funded. Saskatchewan is the most attractive jurisdiction for mining and investment as per 2001 Fraser Institute survey. Now, in terms of Appia's management, the management and directors combined, they have over 300 years combined industry experiences. So the very, very experienced management team. Now, Appia is it's a public company. We trade on the Canadian Stock Exchange under the symbol API. We're also trading on NASDAQ. OTCQX APAAF is a symbol. Our share price, we're trading around 50 cents Canadian right now. Basic shares outstanding, 123 million shares. Option, about 8 million. Warrants, about 15 million. Fully diluted share outstanding, 147 million shares. Market capitalization, around 60 million Canadian. Cash on hand, about 4.3 million. And and fully diluted cash, fully diluted would be basically about 21 million. So we're and sorry, I also forgot to mention that management control about 30% of the shares, the outstanding shares. Now, investment summary, we're excited about Appia. We think that the world needs clean energy with the energy crisis, especially in Europe right now. We think that we're in two very good sectors: uranium for electric energy, and rare earths for clean energy and electric vehicles. Now, so we think that the Alces Lake property is world class. It has amongst the highest total rare earth grades ever discovered. It's enriched in neodymium, praseodymium, terbium. The management team has over 300 years combined experience. Gallium, high-grade gallium, is also hosted within the Monozyte. We see significant exploration potential. We only just started scratching the surface of this property. We also have, as I mentioned, 4 other properties in the prolific Athabasca Basin, uranium properties, and our model for those properties is high-grade uranium near surface, near infrastructure. The company is debt-free. It has no option payments. And also in Alces Lake, we do have a huge uranium and rare earth Ni-431 resource. Thank you. Anna, I'm done.
Yes, great presentation, Tom. Thank you so much. All right, so we do have some questions for you. Our audience would like to know a little bit more. You mentioned your team and their expertise, but can you hash that out a little bit for us, because you guys have a great, stellar team on board there?
The Appia team, as I mentioned, has over 300 years combined industry experiences. It has geologists, it has business people, and it also has engineers as part of the team. Recently, we also added a new party to the team, Dr. Irvine Ashley. He is a geologist with over 35 years experiences. He has a lot of experience for uranium and rare earth in the Athabasca Basin. And he also had part of his work before he was involved with the Saskatchewan Research Council for over, I believe, 19 years. And he was recently teaching at a university in France. So Dr. Irving Ashley is going to be Appia's new VP of Exploration. So we're excited to have you there. Now, we recently lost our president, Freddie Kozak. He got a promotion at another company, and now we're basically looking for a new president. We have we have some leads, some interesting leads. So we'll moving forward with that.
Great. Tom, let's talk a little bit about your competition. Who are your competitors, and what sets Appia apart?
The competition, In the rare earth space, there's China is the main company, the producer of rare earths. There's 2 or 3 other companies in the Western world that do produce rare earths. The key for Appia is to, and for any company, is to have a viable rare earth project that can really compete with China. Because Alces Lake, we think, is a world-class project because it has world-class rare grades and simple mineralogy and the right location. We think that once this project is developed, there will be competition. But on the other hand, the current production of rare earths it only meets the current demand, and especially when it comes to neodymium, praseodymium, NdPr, and the projections are that between now and 2030, would be. We need is going to be a 5-fold increase in market demand for critical rare earths. So we think that Appia could be one of the better projects out there. Experts like Jack Lifton from believe that this is Appia has the critical. It has the best monozyte rare earth prospect or project in North America and possibly in the whole world.
Wow. Well, 2030 will be here before we know it. Let's talk a little bit about the market. How is this fluctuating market affecting your company, and how are you guys handling it?
Well, the market hasn't been kind to most of the companies in the last little while. I think it's interest rates start going up, inflation, and all this. With Appia, I think we're affected less when compared to other companies. And my guess is, because we're on 2 sectors that are on an uptick. Uranium has, the last couple of years, it's on the uptick, and also rare earths, critical materials is the prices, and it's on the uptick, and also there's market perception that the uranium prices and the rare earth prices will be going higher. We're done relatively okay.
Good. Let's talk about funding. Where are you in terms of funding for the company? Do you need more? Talk to some shareholders out there.
We did raise 15 million in 2021. As I mentioned before, the 2022 program is fully funded. We have warrants and options that, if exercised, will give us another $15 million. At some point we might be looking at some financing, but at this point the company, we've got about 4.3 million working capital in the company, so there's no rush to do anything.
Great. And so for viewers who have seen you before on our conference and those who hopefully will see you again in the future, do you have any updates that we should be looking towards? Anything with the company in the future?
We've finished in 4 months. We did 17,500 meters of drilling. We're awaiting assay results, so I think that's something that viewers should be looking at right now. We also completing a survey, an airborne survey on the rest of the property, on the Alces Lake property, because we only had looked at only half of the property when it comes to airborne surveys. We're looking at, once we receive all the information, we're looking at doing an I-43-101 report on Alces Lake. So that's something that it's coming up. We're also, as I mentioned, we finished a couple of airborne surveys and on our uranium properties, the Loranger and the North Wollaston. And once we receive permit for Loranger, we would like to drill for uranium there. So there's quite a few things that we're be busy with, and possibly news coming out in the next little while.
It must be an exciting time in your industry. So do you have any closing remarks for our viewers?
Well, I would like to thank everybody for taking the time to listen to the presentation. And I think we're very excited at Appia. And as I mentioned, we're shareholders. The management hold about 30% of the shares. So we think that the uranium and the rare earth markets, the prices are going higher in the next few years. And all people have to look what's happening in terms of energy in Europe. You know, there's a big issue here, and the only way we believe it's going to be solved is by getting more energy produced through uranium, and also I think the electric vehicles would help, both in terms of the energy and also in terms of the environment. We're facing, the world is facing some environmental issues, and I think Appia is in both sectors of uranium and rare earths that are up and coming.
Right on. Well, thank you, Tom, so much for your time and presentation today. And we look forward to you coming back in a few months and giving us those exciting updates.
Thank you, Anna. Thanks for the opportunity.
Our pleasure. Okay, everyone. Thank you for watching. We're going to transition to our next presenter, and we'll be right back.